I liked the perspective that it took from getting to see the science part of the experiment and even getting to talk to the scientists themselves and seeing how they get involved with the process by going on ride-alongs and really seeing what is their day to day and how can we most effectively incorporate these things um, to make the experiment as successful as possible. And um, it was just so fascinating to hear all of the factors that really contribute to um, the health of your sleep cycle and your digestion and all of these different things that are a factor. And how do we make these work when you have these crazy long shifts where you don't always have the opportunity to um, eat at regular times? So I just thought it was really interesting and also relatable for a lot of people who do shift work, and just people in general who want to make better, healthier choices. I thought this was a really interesting like experiment or challenge to take on. And then I also loved getting to hear the personal stories from the firefighters and their families.
Hear and see a community of firefighters break down the basics of taking on the job. You don't know what you're signing on to until you clock in. Your perspective on life can change in 48 hours, yet this matters to them. Being surrounded by these like minded individuals, knowing that not everybody can do this job. There's plenty of screenings that take place to take the people who can't handle it out. Um, because at the end of the day, these people are walking into these burning buildings, and it requires so much more that goes into this world. The roles may be dangerous, but their ultimate role is to protect this community. The lifespan of this job overall is small. They know the risks, they make jokes about it. There's even times in the interviews where they stop midway because the fighter needs to get on the road, emphasizing the dedication and the selflessness really that these individuals have. And they make sacrifices, but they wouldn't change it for the world. Uh, and in return, we can't change all the aspects of their job to make these, but we can make moves to ensure healthy resources are available to them. Looking healthy versus actually being healthy. Cancer has become a very prominent issue within the firefighter community. Cardiovascular challenges. These numbers are going on the rise, aside from the mere aspect of their job just simply being dangerous. The long term effects from the exposures that these people go through. You get a good sense not only from the fighters themselves, but a good collection of different doctors and researchers to looking into the ease uh, for what they can fix for this community.
Here in this documentary, we're learning all about the process of looking into the health and well-being of firefighters and how that translates to a overall better service to citizens within the community. And it explores how to assure that they are within their best shape. And it focuses specifically on some of the cardiac diseases that affect them because of their job and the dynamics of their job. And it focuses also on time restrictive eating being better for their health. But how does that work for them, being that they have these very unusual schedules where you have your 48-hour shifts and these time restrictive schedules where you're up all night or sleeping for your 24-hour off time, and it's just like it's very hard to get on this schedule. But they approached it scientifically, but also showed the personal views of how someone is affected directly by the schedule. The firefighters, we also saw the firefighters themselves speaking on what concerns them and their potential risk of their health. And you got to see the process of them doing this study within this documentary. And it's a style of fasting or restrictive eating that I've heard of before. Um, that's a little bit more intense than what someone called intermittent fasting or what have you. Um, and it makes you, to me, a call to action to not even just think about it within the world that is a firefighter, but to also think about that style of eating within yourself and how could it be beneficial to you health wise.
I've never seen an in-depth look at the nutrition of firefighters like this before. I've never had the chance to think about it, you know. So it was this was really, really a really good piece, and you know, knowing about this innovation and studying the circadian rhythms and timed eating and stuff like this, and you know, how it you know, it is so effective for shift workers, but also for the general public. But, seeing that some of the most important people in our line of defense against danger in society, our first responders, are benefiting from this, is a real joy, you know, to see this. And, the piece was just overall put together very well. The interviews were conducted very well. Everybody communicated so nicely. It was nicely directed, edited, good use of score. Yeah, and all the research and everything that was expressed in it, it was just all done very well.
The firefighter is always seen as someone powerful, as I say, the superior, someone that is never breaking down. But this documentary lights a very important light on firefighters and the fact that they are actually humans and they can suffer PTSD and have health, mental health issues because of their job and because how difficult is the job, you know, going and saving lives every day of their lives. But then, after all the things that they see, who is gonna save their lives? Who is gonna save their mental stability after? Because firefighters every day they save people, but they also end up in a hazardous situation. You know, they get injured, they get wounded. Sometimes they die, and sometimes they see a lot of dead people that they cannot help because the situation is too hard, they come too late, or it is not possible to help them anymore. So I think overall the idea to shine a light on this subject, it is very important, and it really gives you an insight of what is to be a firefighter. And on top of that, there is a beautiful music, like very impressive and nearly enchanting music, and at the same time a very well developed direction and cinematography. So overall, this was a really interesting documentary, and it really kept me glued to the screen from start to finish.
That this was really, really interesting, especially because there, I think, has been more notice, or, more acknowledgement of shift workers and of, these kind of essential workers and things like that, these first responder type roles. So hearing that like for, previous like sleep studies and stuff like that, shift workers have not been included, I thought it was really, really fascinating because they're the ones that I think we should be having sleep studies about, not exclusively, but, having them about them, I think would be really, really beneficial because there are plenty of professions that have shift workers and, learning what being a shift worker does to your sleep and how it affects your sleep, I think would be so, so important and so, so powerful. And, clearly this movie kind of shows that and shows taking a new approach to how we've not just viewed these type of workers before, but how we're approaching their health and taking a more overall look to it and a more rounded approach to it. Uh, I thought it was really well done. I really loved it. I liked that they went over all the different aspects. It wasn't just about the firefighters. It was also about their families, and it was how all of it works together and all of it goes hand in hand.
Heroes, which are what firefighters are, and for people to take the initiative to find a vast array of firefighters to help improve their living, because they do live in a very dangerous job. It's like one woman said, it's their calling. It's something that they were just driven to do. For a group of scientists to take initiative to help figure out how they can improve their lifestyles with their circadian rhythm and intermittent fasting to maybe give them a little bit longer of a life. They are well aware of the risk because they realize that firefighters live and work in a dangerous environment, and they just want to do a little something to help to improve their lives, which makes them also heroes. The scientists are just as much heroes as the firefighters for helping them. Shows this. It was very informative, going in depth into the studies that they did with mice and hamsters, and then to do the human trials to figure out if they could replicate that. This documentary showed everything from the beginning to the end of how this trial came about.